Joining us now to talk about it, former senior advisor to DHS, Berney Flowers, and former acting ICE director, John Torres. A pleasure to have you both. John, I'm going to start with you. This new reporting out that potentially policy or procedures, they weren't followed. There's been kind of a, I don't want to say a flip-flop, like clarifications
You got it.
from Stephen Miller there. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. My initial thoughts when I hear that is that, it goes back to what we've seen in my career. The first reports are never entirely accurate, and you have to be really careful about what you put out publicly. We've all been in a position where we've briefed our bosses, and it turned out to be not entirely correct, and that it's an evolving situation when things happen on the ground. And so what you're seeing now is, hey, wait a minute, maybe the initial reports weren't entirely accurate, but they've already been out there in the public stating what they were told from agents on the ground. And so I think everyone's taking a step back now saying, well, let's let the investigations play out. Let's take a look at all the video that's out there and the evidence and find out where things may have gone sideways if they did.
Certainly makes a lot of sense to actually look and see what happened before jumping to conclusions, which we, of course, saw with that first shooting. Berney, we know that, of course, you worked with Secretary Mayorkas. He was impeached by House Republicans. And according to Axios and other reports, the shoe may now be on the other foot, so to speak. They write, quote, House Democrats' support for articles of impeachment against DHS Secretary Christi Noem surged again today, with House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries effectively giving his blessing to the effort. Berney, Bob and I had Senator John Fetterman on the show yesterday, and he said he definitely calls for her resignation. He stopped short of saying impeachment. But my question is, what did she do wrong, or what should she have done differently that would warrant this action?
Bob and Katrina, always thanks for having me. I enjoy these sessions. What did she do? When you've got a huge operation like this, things are going to happen. You've got to maintain message discipline among your senior leaders. And to tell you the truth, she kind of threw some of her colleagues under the bus. She kind of panicked a little bit, and maybe she hasn't had, the training that she needs or whatever. I can understand because, again, that's a huge operation, and she kind of panicked a little bit. But let's not start firing people just yet. This is a huge job. Let's find out what the investigation has to say and go after that. And also, the Democrats are always going to be looking for cracks in our armor. So let's just slow this thing down a little bit and do what needs to be done.
John, can you sympathize with people that lay some of the blame on Tim Walz, Mayor Frey, who is still saying he's not going to cooperate with federal law enforcement, to continue to not to do that and create and help, facilitate this situation that we had in Minneapolis with people ramming ICE agents, surrounding them, going after them physically? I mean, it just wasn't a good situation at all.
Entirely not a good situation. And quite frankly, even after the reset, by getting Tom Homan on the ground, who's obviously there to listen, he's tough, but he's fair. He understands the work of ICE agents. He's led many of them throughout the years in multiple offices and led the entire agency under the first Trump administration. It's not smart to get out and put those types of statements out saying you're not going to do any enforcement of immigration law. I understand what he's trying to say, that it's the federal government's job to do that and not the state and locals. But at the same time, when you're having these discussions, putting out those types of statements, they don't really help anything here when you're trying to negotiate. And ultimately, everyone has to look at each other's perspective when you're having these discussions. And that includes looking at the number of assaults, the number of threats, and the way that the entire situation is currently evolved with the chaos that's out there on the streets. There's enough blame on both sides here.
All right, gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. And of course, we'll be watching what happens. Hopefully the rhetoric gets toned down. Berney, John, appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Coming up, President Trump.